Today we're making a baked Denver omelet, and this is perfect if you need a naked breakfast or if you are entertaining a crowd. Welcome back. I'm Jill with thecarefreekitchen.com, and today we are making this amazing breakfast casserole. It is savory and so easy to put together. You're going to be making this on repeat, and I can't wait to show you how to do it. Okay, so for our ingredients, I have just like a little bit of butter, and I'm going to saute my onion in there. The trick with this recipe is that you don't want to have raw onions. So we're going to caramelize our onion a little bit before we add it to the egg mixture. So we have our onion, and then we have green pepper, and I like to use a mixture of red and green, but if you just have green, that's fine too. And then of course my eggs, and I like to use just some deli ham, but if you have a leftover ham from Christmas or Easter that you're trying to use up, this is one of the best ways to use up that leftover ham. And then of course I have some shredded cheese, and really any kind of cheese is great here, and some salt and pepper. Okay, and then for the onion, we only need like a half of a cup. So I'm just gonna do a quick little chop here. And on this, you want it to be kind of smaller, like little minced pieces, because you don't want big chunks in your omelet. And this is the way I get my kids to eat it, is I just hide it. Okay, and you can cook this on like medium heat. That's gonna be fine. Just have a couple tablespoons of butter I'm going to melt, and then I'm going to add my onion here and just let that go while I cut up my pepper. All right, and so for the pepper, you only need like a half of a cup, and so not a ton of pepper. I always like making this after a holiday because if you have leftovers from your relish tray and your holiday ham and any cheese that you have left over, it is really just the perfect way to use this up. Just gonna estimate here on our peppers. A Denver omelet is my go-to when I'm ordering breakfast at a restaurant. It is just the perfect savory breakfast that never gets old. We're gonna add this to our onions. All right, our butter is melting here a little bit. We're gonna cook that until the onions turn transparent, and then they will also turn just like a slightly golden brown. So after your onions are just golden brown there on the edges, you can add your peppers, and we're just gonna cook the peppers until they are soft and tender, and you can kind of see they're starting to turn a little bit translucent. We want them just a little bit softer so it gives the casserole a nice, even consistency. So there we go. Our peppers and onions are ready to add to the casserole. So for our eggs, we need 8 eggs. And if you want to increase the protein in here, you could also add egg whites, maybe do half of your eggs and then do the rest egg whites. But this is a super easy way to get a high protein breakfast. One other thing that I like to add sometimes too is like a half a cup of cottage cheese. You could probably even add up to 1 cup cottage cheese, and it would work great in this casserole. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more eggs, and then we will be ready to go. So there's 8 eggs. Okay, and then for my ham, I like to get kind of a fine dice on my ham. It should be about the same size as your peppers and onions, and that way it will again just give a nice smooth consistency, not smooth, but the same kind of consistency in your breakfast omelet. And if your vegetables are the same size as your ham, then your kids won't even know which is which. They'll just think it's all ham, which is perfect. Into my bowl, I am going to add my eggs. I'm going to give them a quick little beat here. There we go. Make sure they're all mixed up. And then I'm going to add in my ham, and this is about 1 cup of ham. And you don't need to worry about writing down the instructions here. I have it all on my website. I found that that is the best way for people. You can go onto the website and you can print it off, and then that way you can follow along step by step in the process. Here is my ham and eggs. And then I'm also going to add in some shredded cheese, and this is just some regular shredded cheese. You could do a Mexican blend, or whatever you have on hand is great. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of black pepper to give it a little bit of flavor. and then about 1/4 teaspoon salt. You don't need a ton of salt because the cheese is in there and that has quite a bit of salt in it already. But we're just gonna add this, and then also to thin it out just a little bit, I like to add in about a 1/4 cup of water. All right, and then for the peppers, you can see they're all really nice and soft and tender, which is key for making the best Denver omelet casserole, and mix that up. And so this is the mixture for our Denver omelet casserole. And then as far as your baking pan for this, I like to use, you could use an 8x8 or a 9x9 square dish. And I like to use one that's like a little bit thicker on the sides because then your omelet's going to rise a little bit and you won't have it spilling over. So I'm just going to spray it with a little bit of non-stick cooking spray and then add in my egg mixture right into my dish, my baking dish. Okay, and just for funsies, I'm gonna add a little bit more shredded cheese to the top there. Okay, now we're gonna bake this in a preheated 400-degree oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And what we're looking for when it's baked is it's going to be golden brown on the edges, and then you don't want it soupy in the middle. Make sure it's like firm and it should bounce a little bit when you touch the top. Okay, so here is my baked Denver omelet. I like to garnish it with just like a little bit of sour cream or salsa or some guacamole or just even some sliced avocado. It really is just a fun way to celebrate Easter or the holidays and a perfect breakfast to make ahead. And if you're going to make this ahead, what I like to do is add all the ingredients and then just cover it with saran wrap, but don't bake it until you're ready. When you are ready to bake it, you can take it out of the oven. You don't want to put a cold pie pan or cold baking pan into a hot oven. So just let it chill on the counter while your oven is preheating. And then you can put it in the oven and bake it for Christmas morning or Easter morning, or if you're having a brunch or something, it's a perfect breakfast. Here is my baked Denver omelet. It is filled to the brim with onions and peppers and cheese, and it is such a yummy breakfast. So here we go. It is so yummy. I love the ham in there and the cheese, and it's just loaded. I could eat this every weekend. This is so delicious. And of course, I have a printable recipe on my website. Just click on that link in the description and it will take you to all the tips and tricks that you need to make this perfect every single time. I promise your family's gonna love it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me at The Carefree Kitchen, and I will show you all kinds of fun and easy recipes that your family will enjoy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.